Hello everyone, welcome back. So we are discussing about electromagnetic theory, right? So in this particular topic, we have already started about the discussion of mathematical background. In that, yesterday in last class, I have discussed about gradient of a scalar, right? Now, as we have discussed in the last class that what is exactly the scalar is, then what about the scalar function, then how we represent in the vector space of particular scalar function in a vector space. Then we have defined about its space dependency, that is Cartesian coordinate system. In case of Cartesian coordinate system, we define x, y, z. And the partial derivative of the phi with respect to x, y, z, and the rate of change of the phi with respect to the particular axis. Then we have discussed about the total variation of the phi. Right, so that was given by the grad of phi, where grad of phi is nothing but it's a operator. It's a gradient operator we call. So that gradient operator is represented as del is equal to dou of dou x I cap, then dou of dou I j cap, dou of dou z of k cap. This is applied on a particular function of a scalar, that is scalar function phi of x. Then we get the total derivative, or that derivative or gradient operator is in a vector space. So totally the resultant of this whole gradient of a function, scalar function, will be a vector only, because it is called as a directional derivative. So it will show about the how that function is changing with respect to the individual coordinate system, in particular in case of Cartesian coordinate system. So in this class we are going to discuss about the physical interpretation of that gradient, how you are going to interpret the gradient of a particular scalar function. So now let us consider a point P having a position. Let us consider a point P. Let us consider a point P having a position coordinates. Point P having position coordinates, position coordinates x, y, z, x, y, x, comma, y, comma, z in a particular Cartesian coordinate system. So I will define that coordinate system as, so this is what the graph where the Cartesian coordinate systems x, y, z can be defined. So here, as I told that, let us consider a point P having a position coordinates x, comma, y, comma, z in this particular Cartesian system. So here, if I define this particular point P here, in this point, if I define P, right? So if I define this point P here, then similarly, and a point Q is very close to it. So let me define another one point, the Q point here. So the Q point very close to it, right? Then having its position coordinates. So as we know, as I already told that the position coordinates of this P is, so P is a function with x, comma, y, comma, z, means its coordinates are x, comma, y, comma, z. Similarly for Q, so it is very nearer, in these three-dimensional positions. So it is very nearer, means this is R. So I can define this one as a dr, because it is very nearer to this P and Q. So both are very near. So here the Cartesian systems or coordinates for, or position coordinates for this Q, now I will define as x plus dx, then y plus dy, and z plus dz, because it is very nearer to P. So because P is defined with the x, means Q should be x plus dx, because it is very nearer. So there is small change in their positions. Then for P I defined y, means for Q I will define that one as a y plus dy. Then similarly, if I define the z, then I can define this one as a z plus dz, right? So these are the Cartesian position coordinate systems for, or position coordinates for Q point, and these are for P point, right? So these are for P point. Now the vector distance between 2 points P and Q is now given by, that is the vector distance, as I have already defined here, the vector difference between these 2 points, that is now it is a dr. So now that dr is equal to, it's a now it's a vector because it tells about the positions, right? So I can define this one as dx of I cap, then plus dy of j cap, then plus dz of k cap, because this particular dx represents about the small change in that position from p to q in x direction. There is a small change in the position p to q in y direction, small change in the p to q within along z direction. That's why, so as I have defined here, dr means it's overall distance between two points, that is p and q. Now let phi be the value of the scalar function at point p. So let now phi be the scalar value or scalar function. Let phi be the scalar function, or it's the value of a scalar function. Now that phi is right at point p, at point p. So I will define the phi scalar function at a point p, and similarly phi plus d phi scalar function for at a particular value of q. So particular point, that is q. So now phi and phi plus d phi. Phi is the scalar function at point p. Phi plus d phi be the scalar function at point q. Because as there is a change in their positions, as we already know that the scalar depends on positions, right? Scalar function can be written in the form of phi is function of x comma y comma z. If you read this one, it represents about the its dependency on position coordinates, dependency on position coordinates, that is x, y and z, right? So then the change in the value of that scalar function, so the change in the value of that scalar function with respect to the dr is known as total differential of that phi. Because if you take the change of that phi with respect to the position, that we call as a differential, or we call this one as a total differential of that function phi. So this total differential of function phi tells about that's a change in the value of phi. It is change in the value of phi function with respect to that is dr position. So that's why it is called as a now differential, because it's a variation of phi function with position. Similarly, now if I consider this point p to q, the variation of this point to q, then if I take at the point p this function is phi, and at point q this function is phi plus d phi. The change in the total function is only d phi only, right? Now if I move from this point p to q along all these three dimensions, now if I move this move from this point p to a particular distance a along x-axis, as like this, right? So if I take along this particular point, this is along x-axis, I'll define this point as a. Now if I take the same point along y-axis to the point b here, then I will move the same position, means I'm going from p to q in a different directions along all these three axes, right? So here I am moving along x direction, I will define this one as a dx. Here I am moving along dy, that is along y direction. That is a change of that function along all these three variables, or Cartesian systems or positions. So here if I move that from point b to q along z direction, this is dz direction, right? So this it tells about the variation of that point function phi along x-axis. This is along x-axis, and this is along y-axis, and this is along z-axis. This actually totally represents about it's a system along x, y, z axes, right? Now if I come with a particular rate of change of that function along x-axis is given by the rate of change of function phi along x-axis is d dou phi by dou x, Then similarly, this tells about the variation of that of scalar function phi along x-axis as we have already discussed yesterday, right? Then the total value of that function phi at point A now. So as I have moved from that point P to A, from P to A, so that at particular point A, the value of that function, that value of that function phi at point A is equal to phi plus dou phi by dou x into dx, because it is the variation. This phi is a function at point P, and this is the variation of that same function at a particular distance a along x-axis. This is along only x-axis only, right? Then similarly, if we calculate the rate of change of that function along y, we can write that one as the rate of change of phi, function along y-axis is given by now dou phi divided by dou y, because it tells about the variation of that function along only y-axis, right? Then if you take the value of variation of that function along y-axis, then that what is the value of that function at point B? The value of that function at point B is actually is equal to phi. It is at a point P, and that function as it has passed through the point A, then I will define that function variation with respect to x. Then this is up to A, this is point A. Then if you go along y direction up to the B, so then it becomes dou by dou y of, that is whatever the variation happened till now, it will be the variation along y-axis, because this is still now up to point A, this is the variation of that one, or value of that function at point A. Then this is going to be the value of that same function at point B. So that is the total variation of the function from P to B point. So this one is defined as phi plus d dou phi by, this is dou phi divided by dou x into dx whole bracket into dy, because it is a variation along x and y both. So that's why we are going to define this variation of y. It not only along only x y axis, it is also depends on the variation of that same function along x axis also. Now if you take the total value of this function at point B, that phi plus dou phi by dou x into dx, where d is the total variation and dou is a partial variation, right? Then plus, then I can write this one as dou phi by dou y if you do a calculation here, so into dy plus dou square phi divided by dou x into dou y into dx into dy. So these dx and dy is both multiplied part is very small, because already there is a very small change in the x. This is already a small change in along x-axis, and dy is also a small change along y-axis. So if you multiply both the changes here, so it will be it will be very small, very small. So that's why the part of this function where this total second derivative with respect to dx and dy is very small, that's why we can neglect. So the term dou square phi divided by dou x dou y into dx dy, so it is a very small change, that's why I can neglect. It is a very small quantity, so that's why it can be neglected. Right? So the by considering this negligence of this particular part or term, then we get the value of value of that function phi at b will be equal to phi plus dou phi by dou x into dx plus dou phi by dou y into dy. So now it is very meaningful that, so even though there is a dependency of function phi, even it is varying along y-axis, so it can be negligible, because the variation of x and y at the same time, it will be very small. So that's why we can neglect. So just we can only highlight that variation of that function along only x-axis and only y-axis, because at the point B it should come from point P to here. This is the diagram. P to Q it is going, means P to A, then A to B. So means it should come along dx variation along y also, along y dy variation. So while coming from point P to A to B, that the variation of this function at point B becomes, this is a total of that function at point P and along at point A, and it is along at point B. So that is the total value of the function at particular point B. Similarly, as I have moved from dx to dy, then I need to move from dy to dz to reach this particular point P. Now if I move this along dz direction, then that rate of change of the same function along z is given by the rate of change of function phi along z axis is given by, that is dou phi by dou z. Means this dou phi by dou z tells about its variation of this function along z axis. Similarly, as we have calculated in x and y, so if you calculate the value of the function phi at q will becomes, that is a phi at a point P plus its variation of that function at along x-axis, then that same function variation at y-axis, then this is dy, then plus the variation of that same function along z. It is now depends on all these two coordinates, that is x and y. So that's why I can write this in phi plus dou phi by dou x into dy, into dx, plus dou phi by dou y into dy, right, into whole bracket, that becomes dz. Now if you calculate this variation of that function with partial differential, so it becomes dou phi by dou x into dx plus dou phi by dou y into dy plus, so now if you take all these things, so we get only that is dou phi by dou z into dz plus, that is dou square phi divided by dou x dou z into dx dz plus, that is dou square phi divided by dou y dou z into dy and dz. Now if you look at this, the variation of that a small change in dx and small change in dy, if you multiply these two, then it will be very small. So the variation of that function along x and z at the same time, it is very small, and the variation of the same function along y and z at the same time, so this is a very small in dy change, and there is small change in the only dz, very small changes, so it becomes totally very small. So by considering these two points, the terms, these two terms, this term and this term, so these two can be neglected because they are very small. So that's why these terms can be neglected. Now if you neglect these two terms, then the particular that function value at a q point is given by that the value of phi at a q point will become, so that becomes phi plus dou phi by dou x into dx plus dou phi by dou y into dy plus dou phi by dou z into dz. Now, so this is the value of that particular point q. The total change from point P to Q of that function phi is given by, as we already know that total change of that function phi from point P to Q is given by, that is, as we already know that the change of that function phi to P to Q is already phi plus d phi. Phi plus d phi, we already know it, this one, right? So we can write phi plus d phi, then that is equal to the same function is changing from, it is moving from point P to Q, right? So that is the total variation. This is the total variation from P to Q then, because we have moved from P to Q point with this much of variation. This is the total variation of that function along that particular path along X, Y, Z, right? So if you move from point P to Q, that is the total variation, means I can equate these two variations. So these two variations. So this is the directly from P to Q, and we have that direction, that change of that function from P to A to B, B to Q. So this is the total variation once again from P to Q. So that's why I can write here, I can equate these two. Phi plus d phi is equal to phi plus dou phi by dou x into dx plus dou phi by dou y into dy plus dou phi by dou z into dz. Now I can cancel these two phi functions here. This function, this phi and this phi get cancels. Only I will be remained with d phi is equal to dou phi by dou x into dx plus dou phi by dou y into dy plus dou phi by, that is dou phi by dou z into dz, right? Now, so if you see this function d phi is the total variation of this is nothing but a total variation of that phi. Here d phi by dou x means it's a partial variation along x axis, and dou phi by dou y is partial variation along y axis, and dou phi by dou z is partial variation of that phi function along z axis, right? Now if you look at this total function, I can write this one in terms of two variables. As see here, I can write this one as dou by dou x into I cap plus dou by dou y into j cap plus dou by dou z into k cap into function phi dot dx I cap plus dy j cap plus dz k cap. See, you can look at this function here. So this is as this is for phi is a scalar function, I can take away this one scalar function. I will just, if I write only vectors, this one is a one vector, this one is another vector. So if I take here dou by dou x of I cap plus dou by dou y of j cap plus dou by dou z of k cap here, then if I take a dot product of this one with respect to the dr vector, that is nothing but a dx I cap plus dy j cap plus dz k cap, right? Into that function scalar is there, there is no effect of this function if you take the dot product of two vectors. So this is nothing but a total variation of d phi. Here see, as these two are vector quantities, if I take the dot products, I will get again back to the same equation I have mentioned in this above, right? So if you take the dot product of these two, see, look at this, right? So we'll get the same function. That's why here this is we have already defined about this total function is nothing but it's a operator that is nothing but a del operator into that function is there, that function phi is there. I will write the same function phi here. Then what is this quantity? This quantity is nothing but it is a vector distance between two points P and Q, that is nothing but a dr. That is dr is equal to, this is a vector, that is dr is equal to that is dx I cap plus dy j cap plus dz k cap. Now if I write the whole equation in terms of only del and dr, I get this is d phi is equal to del into phi dot dr vector. Now if I consider this one with a dot product, if I remove this dot product, I will only get that one as d phi into dr into r cap, because it's a vector. This is totally vector, because we can write dr is equal to dr vector can be written as dr its magnitude into its vector direction, right? This is dr is a vector direction, means if you take the derivative, then it's d phi. If you take the d phi here, so now I will take this dr back into the denominator here. I will get this function becomes d phi divided by dr is equal to del phi into r cap. See, you can look at this particular function as we already know that the total variation of that function with respect to the position is nothing but a gradient. We have discussed this the same definition in a previous class, right? The total variation of a scalar function along the different direction of a vector space, because this dr is now nothing but it's a vector space having different directions, right? Directions. So now here we are going to define this is dr is nothing but a vector space. That's a variation of this scalar function along the all directions of a vector space. So that's why we define this one as a grad of phi. So grad of phi, yesterday or last class we have discussed, or previous class we defined the grad of phi as this is the variation of a total variation of a scalar function along different directions in a vector space is called as a gradient of a scalar. Now I can write this d phi by total, that is not the dou, it is a dou. It is not a partial, it is a full derivative, that is nothing but a d phi by dr can be written as a grad of phi. Grad phi is equal to, that is del phi into r cap. Grad phi is equal to del phi into r cap, because del is a operator, we already know. Phi is a scalar function, so it's about a magnitude. You can look at this. So this is del phi is nothing but a magnitude. It is in the direction of r cap, means this is nothing but a vector one, because it has a both magnitude and directions. So you can observe here, this phi is nothing but a scalar quantity. Phi is a scalar quantity. Grad is a vector operator of a differential, right? Then here, if you look at this vector operator and scalar, if you take the grad of phi, that one will get the vector quantity. Hence, the gradient of a scalar field function phi is defined as a vector field. So this, if you take the grad of any scalar function, it will be a vector one. So that's how in electrodynamics we define this one as a vector field. Because in that particular region of that spaces or vector space, that variation of a scalar is going to happen along the all individual coordinates x, y, and z. So that's why it is nothing but it's a field, it's a region. The magnitude which is equal to the maximum rate of change of it's a function. I can see this. This is nothing but the grad of this variation. This is del phi is nothing but it's a magnitude of that vector space or vector field, right? The magnitude of this vector field, it is equal to it's a rate of change of that function or scalar function or its variation along all three different coordinate systems, and it is a change in all three, that is x, y, and z. And you can look at this r cap. R cap is nothing but as this is r vector is nothing but x I cap plus y j cap plus z k cap here. So the r cap is nothing but it is also in the direction of r only, means what it tells is del phi is the variation along all three different axes x, y, z, and its variation direction is also in the direction of displacements along which the rate of change of phi is there. Is the rate of change is there, or you can also define as this del phi is nothing but the maximum rate of change along which its direction of displacement along this particular coordinate system is also a maximum one. So that's why it is nothing but a displacement vector or directional derivative. Yesterday I have defined, right? So this del phi is called as a directional derivative because its variation is also in the direction of their vector displacements or direction of their displacement vectors. So that's why it is a directional derivative. Now, based on this particular directional derivative of a gradient of a phi, so this is nothing but a grad of phi, right? So you need to solve two problems depending on this equation. So now I will give the two problems regarding this grade of 5. You need to submit on a Google Classroom. The first one is scalar function phi is equal to x. I will define this one as x square y into z. So calculate the directional derivative or grad of phi at a point 2, 3, 4, right? Then second one is calculate a gradient of scalar function phi is equal to 2x plus 3y into z, right, at a point 1, 1. So these two are the questions you need to submit on a Google Classroom by solving the gradient of the particular function, and you need to represent those gradient functions or resultant of these two functions or a grad of these phi's in terms of a vector. You should particularly mention about its vector representations. Okay, so these are two of the questions you need to submit on a Google Classroom. So next class we are going to discuss about divergence of a vector field or a divergence of a vector function, that we are going to discuss in the next class. Thank you.